hundreds of thousands of students fighting for a few thousand seats. I had to take a decision. When your hands are full, you cannot grab something new. With the knowledge which they have gained from medicine to build out really good products which can really change the face of healthcare and to really solve some real problems. A lot of things what is right now being built in AI for healthcare is usually either more of hype or it's like making for problems which are not even existent. Medical science is going to become more of a data science. Those eras of evidence-based medicine are going to go, and we are going to enter into an era of intelligence-based medicine. What if we use AI and it causes harm? Will we be legally liable for it? This is a ethical gray area, Selina, right now. AI product development life cycle is scattered across so many stakeholders. So it is very difficult to name a particular stakeholder that you are responsible for this act. You need to take out time for your self learning, for self development in whichever field you are working, even in medicine. Our patients are using AI, even if we don't. They're not waiting for us. But the biggest question is who owns the medical data? The AI technology that we are seeing right now, this is the worst it will be ever.
Join disruptive doctors.
I'm Dr. Selina, your host and co-founder of Disruptive Doctors. At Disruptive Doctors, we're building a platform to help doctors like you impact healthcare differently. In Postcall, we dive into the untold stories of doctors who are breaking the mold, trailblazers who are redefining what it means to be a doctor. This is Postcall Beyond the White Coat. Hi, welcome to another episode of Postcall Beyond the White Coat. In this episode, we're diving into the journey of Dr. Avneesh Khare, a doctor turned MedTech innovator who has reshaped his career from clinical practice to pioneering AI in healthcare. After years of working across India and Dubai as a specialist in anesthesiology and pain management, Dr. Avneesh took a bold step away from the bedside to explore the powerful intersection of medicine and artificial intelligence. We'll talk about what inspired him to leave clinical medicine, the struggles and insights he gained along the way, and how he now educates and consults on AI to help tackle some of the healthcare's most pressing challenges. Hi, Dr. Avneesh.
Hi, Selina. It's nice to be here and be talking to you about my journey. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. So, Dr. Avneesh, this is what I always ask my guests. What made you decide to pursue medicine?
So, Selina, my father is a dermatologist, and being brought up in a family, my father is a doctor. I used to see him every day dealing with patients, solving their problems, and then getting so much regard. So, that inspired me to take up medicine. And also in India, in the 10th standard, you have to choose a subject where it's either between mathematics or biology. So, people who are not so good in mathematics, they usually tend to choose biology. So that was not the case with me, but I had more interest in biology and even the plant sciences and human biology. So that is why I took medicine.
Was there anything in particular that while you were growing up, seeing your dad being a doctor, that really inspired you?
Yeah, the dedication that he always brought when he was dealing with his patients, and how the patients like came in problem and they left after consulting him, they were very happy and their problem was solved. And many chronic conditions, because in skin there are some diseases like psoriasis and atopic dermatitis. They are all chronic conditions, and patients have gone to a lot of doctors. They are in too much distress, and when you are able to relieve their problem and there's a smile on their face, I think that was the biggest inspiration for me to pursue medicine.
So after you graduated, you started working, you started your training as a doctor in India. Understand there are challenges in every healthcare system, and it's unique to each healthcare system. What were the struggles or difficulty that you faced when you first started working?
So before we enter the medical school in India, Selina, there's a lot of competitive examinations where there are a lot of students who are competing for a small amount of seats, because India is a huge population country, and there are a lot of students who want to pursue biology, and the number is only increasing every year. And there are fixed number of medical seats. Now the government has started increasing seats in medical colleges, but in our time there were only a few thousand medical seats. So the first struggle was there to get through that exam, to prepare for it. I used to take extra classes. I used to almost study 16 to 18 hours a day for the 2 years before the medical school. Uh, then I got through because I was taught by good teachers, so I was able to get through the exams. And once I entered the medical school, there's again a process called as counseling, where you have to choose the medical college, and then you can get a medical college in any part of India. And that is a huge country again, so with cultural and regional differences. So you have to be I was lucky enough to get a medical school in my own region or area, but sometimes the students have to go to very far off places where even the language is different, and you have to adapt to it. You have to take in the culture. You have to know how to talk to the patients. But that was not the case with me. Another struggle, which is that there are a lot of a lot of patients inside the hospital. There's a lot of buzz happening, and like in the ward, there are a lot of like crowd, you can say. Even in the OPDs, the patients are just waiting for their turn, and the queue never seems to be ending. So those were the struggles in the clinical area. In the medical side, I think the main struggle was the way of being taught and teaching, because it was the traditional lecture system where you go sit in a class and then the teacher talks to you and delivers a lecture and said we were missing the interactive methods. Many of them have been incorporated today, but in our times we had to read the books by ourselves, understand by ourselves. The teacher used to take the class and explain, but that was a limited interaction of half an hour, 1 hour. And then there are so many students. So again, that was another challenge in the learning process. I think these struggles, but then again, what I feel is that the struggles that you face in life are always there to build you and to make you shine once you overcome them. So I take all these struggles as a blessing for me, and they help me shape who I am today. I can do a lot of self learning. I keep learning myself because I know that I have gone through the system where you have to learn by yourself. You're not going to be spoon fed and taught everything, and you have to figure out ways yourself. So everything turns out to be a blessing, sort.
Well, when you started sharing about that, I was just thinking how we take, I mean, from this side of the world, we take a lot of things for granted because the competition is not as strive as it is in India because you have such a huge population, so limited space. I guess that's where resilience is built in doctors in India more so than us because we we do have competition, but it's not like what you're just describing.
Yeah, so
Would
it's
you
like
say,
hundreds of thousands of students fighting for a few thousand seats. So I think if that can put into perspective for our listeners, that is the sort of competition that we face here in India to get into a medical school. Just to get into medical school, the real journey starts after that.
what about jobs? Is it okay for us here? Once you graduate from medical school, you will automatically get a position as a doctor, a training position as a doctor in the government or public hospitals. What is that like in India?
In India, there are a lot of public hospitals. There's a good primary healthcare system which has been developed by the government, but the problem is that in India, most of the students who complete MBBS, which is the graduation degree, they want to go for a post graduation. And as I told you, again in the post graduation, there's another competitive exam which is of a similar difficulty level. Then again, that demands that you have to read at least 16 to 18 hours a day to be able to get through those exams, and doing a job along with studying, it is sometimes a bit difficult because the workload here in India, even in primary care public hospitals, it's beyond the roof. So people, what they do is usually after the MBBS, they take a gap year. They study for the postgraduate exams, and some of them qualify, some of them don't. So then the people start looking for jobs and they join. While on the other side, there's a group which goes into jobs straight away. They take up the job and then they focus on the job for a few years, and then after a few years they prepare for the post graduation exam, and they also get some special consideration because they have been doing a job. So there are some seats which are reserved for those candidates. So there are two types of people, and getting a job is easy. Getting a job is not difficult. A lot of medical colleges are coming up, and the number of doctors that are required is always more than the number that are available in any part of the world. We all know that. So it is same in India.
Okay, so right after your training, or your medical training, you went into anesthesia. You decided to specialize in anesthesia. Was that what made you decide to choose anesthesia?
So Selena, my family, I forgot to mention there's one more doctor. He's my uncle. He's an anesthesiologist. So there were two specialities in my mind because I was exposed to them. I was more confident in those two specialities. One was dermatology and one was anesthesiology. So the irony is that for a dermatology, you need a very good rank, and for anesthesiology, even a good enough rank will do. So my decision was like, if I get a very good rank, I'll go for dermatology. Otherwise, I will go for anesthesiology. And the competition is quite tough, and it's a lot of chance and luck. I got a rank somewhere in the middle, so I was not eligible for dermatology. So I took my uh, not second choice, but they both were parallel choices. So I went for anesthesiology.
So, how would you describe your anesthesia residency experience?
Anesthesia residency, I opted for the medical college that is the biggest in my region, and it's full of super specialities and surgery, like plastic surgery, urology, neurosurgery, cardiosurgery. All these specialities were available in that hospital, and I chose it because there was a lot of exposure to different subspecialties, including critical care. Uh, so I was very lucky because there was a lot of workload. There were a lot of patients, a lot of cases, different uh, cases to see and learn from. And people used to even travel from other regions to my place where I was studying. So I got a very good clinical exposure. Teachers were excellent because they were dealing with so much clinical workload. So they were perfect in their craft. Uh, Also, I got exposure to a lot of subspecialties, as I told. So that shaped my journey further into my career, where I went into pain management as a subspecialty after anesthesiology. I lived in hostel for the first time in my post graduation, because in graduation I was a day scholar. That was in my city. For the first time, I went outside my city, my comfort zone, and I built a group of friends. I built a good network. So overall, it was a very satisfying experience, and learning along with building relationships for the long term. So it was awesome.
So, was there anything in anesthesia that you really loved?
Anesthesia, Selena, I told you, like now in retrospect, when I see, I realize that why I chose anesthesia, because of the same core thing that I told you. When I used to see my father, he used to relieve the person of the problem, and the person used to go away smiling and used to give a lot of regard. So in anesthesia, what we are doing, we are relieving pain. We are relieving the suffering of the patient when they are coming for surgery. Seeing a patient smile after waking up from the surgery and being pain free, I think that was one of the best feelings which I got when I was practicing anesthesia. And that is again what took me into pain management. So that time, I don't know if it made a lot of sense. I didn't decide it so much based on feeling. It was more of exposure in the family and confidence. But now, in retrospect, I feel that I was just following my core path and my core thinking of relieving people of suffering and pain.
Were there any cases that was there any particular case that stuck with you after all these years?
So, not any particular case, but there were few cases which still come to my mind even after I've left clinical medicine. Uh, Most were mishaps because in anesthesia there are a lot of near misses often, and sometimes we are not lucky enough to avoid that. We are at a lot of risk as clinical professionals when the patient is on the table, much more than the surgeons. when the patient is under anesthesia. Uh, there are few patients which I think now I could have done better, or maybe something could have been done different. Not one particular case, but this is what comes to my mind most often. And one of the patients in pain management practice, when the patient came, the patient was of CA gallbladder, carcinoma gallbladder cancer, and in severe distress, young patient, and that was my first celiac plexus block, and the patient just got relieved on table with the first injection of the local anesthetic, and that was the best feeling which I still keep remembering at the back of my brain. Just that patient's face comes to my mind, uh, and it was really satisfying.
Do you usually think back about that when things get tough?
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing a lot of mindfulness meditation nowadays, and there's a practice where you are being grateful for all the things, and you remember the good moments in your life. So these memories definitely have a place in that recalling when I do of good memories, and definitely this helps a lot in taking the stress of daily life. Of course, I think we all medical professionals live for these moments, right? When our patients are happy and they come to us and they share their feeling, their smiling faces. I think that is what keeps us all going in medicine, Selin.
What about the cases that, those mishaps, do they still haunt you?
Not haunt exactly, but then I know in anesthesia you are prepared to think of the worst and prepare for the worst. So we keep doing this scenario plannings in our mind whenever we are doing cases and planning for them. So we already have those all things charted out, that if this happens, what we will do. If this happens, what will happen. But then sometimes after finishing the case, if everything goes well, it's all okay. No one thinks about it. But then if you have certain mishaps, then you keep thinking as medical professionals, like what could have been done better, or what we could have uh, done to avoid that thing. Sometimes it is in our hands, and sometimes it is not. But then as intellectual medical professionals, we are all taught to learn from our mistakes, and that is the same process why it comes to our mind even after things happen. And I think it happens with everyone, not just anesthesia professionals. I think any case, whenever we sit down in the evening after finishing our practice, sometimes we think that, okay, what could I have done better for that patient, had I had a chance to do that.
Have you like overcome it already? Or does it still linger?
Yeah, I know I have overcome it already. I think it will come in the next part of our conversation of how I took a transition. And when these things start haunting you, and uh, when they are affecting your mental health, I think it's better to take a step back and to analyze and to just shift your journey a bit, so that these things don't haunt you. But then I say these learnings are always helpful in the later life as well. Even if you're doing non-medical practice, the learnings that medicine gives you, the medical training, I think no other training in the world can prepare you for challenges of life than the medical training.
Okay, let's talk about that. What do you think your medical training has prepared you for in life?
The best thing that, Selena, I feel is teamwork. Understanding team dynamics, working with people of diverse backgrounds, different education levels, different cultures, and that was what helped me in even switching my profession and to get adapted to the new working environment. Second thing, of course, I would say is, as you mentioned, is resilience. Uh, just staying at it, no matter what. Just keeping up your efforts. Some Most of the times it is helpful, but then again, as I said, sometimes you have to take a step back and analyze. And if it's not working, then so it's a double-edged sword. So uh, you are persistent in your efforts, but then you have to realize that, okay, you should have a sense of like reality also, that okay, this is working, this is not working. And third thing is, of course, I feel the human emotion, the sympathy, empathy, and all those components that come into you as a medical part of medical training. I think these are very important for the era moving forward, which is of artificial intelligence. And that is where all these human emotions and human components are going to be even more important. So I think these three things come to my mind straight out of the box, which help from medical training. And these all are transferable skills, which can help in any profession.
So, after a decade of practice in India, you decided to move to Dubai to work as a doctor. What motivated this?
So, Selena, as I told, I was trained in a pain management as a pain management physician after my anesthesia training. That's another subspecialty. So I ran my pain clinic, and I had a fair share of my struggles there because I didn't have any business training. I didn't know how to market myself as a clinician because in anesthesia you are used to staying behind the screen. You are not so well known to the patient. But then when you become a pain management professional, the patient directly knows you, the patient directly comes to you, and you have to come out from the operation theater, sit in a OPD, and then do the entire thing and also do a procedure. So, setting up a pain clinic, running it, doing the marketing, setting up the business, talking to people, networking, all those things I did. And then somewhere down the line, I felt that it's too much work for me to do. And along with, I was also practicing anesthesia on the sides. uh, and when you're just out of medical school, you want to have a good like income as well, so that you can not even spend on your own further training. So that when someone from Dubai, one of my friends, he came back after working there. He just told me, why don't you explore Dubai? So I thought, okay, there are a few advantages. One is I will get to know people. I will build my international network. I will get to learn from people outside my region. Second thing is I will have a good salary because in Dubai, like if you compare salaries in Dubai and India, there's a huge difference. Like it is almost 5 to 10 times the salary for the same work that you're doing in India. And then the quality of life. We all know, if anyone has been to Dubai, it's a wonderful place to live in. So all these things mixed, they helped me decide. Okay, let me go for this experience. Let me try it. I gave the exam, DHA exam. I cleared it, and then fortunately I got a job in a very good hospital, which was King's College Hospital. Uh, it was like the UK King's College. It was a branch which was opening up in Dubai, and it was a golden opportunity to get started there with international people from different backgrounds. And my phone interview was taken by Dr. Rafael Blanco. If people in anesthesia, they know him. He's a pioneer of many blocks, nerve blocks, regional anesthesia. So it was a wonderful opportunity to learn under him and to even try to develop a pain practice in UAE, which was a new thing. So all these things helped me decide and go to UAE. I wound up everything in India. I sold my machines. I closed my clinic, and then because I didn't know after Dubai what will be. Maybe I will go further abroad, or maybe I will settle in Dubai. So I just uh, because I hadn't invested too much in India also, so I just wrapped it up and I went to Dubai. This was in 2019.
Wow, that so you started up your pain clinic, you invested money buying machine, setting up a business, and then it's and it took this really bold leap of faith, sold everything off, go to Dubai and become a doctor.
So this has always been my nature, Selena, because I don't know. When I talk to people, they are very much surprised. How can you leave things like this when you are setting them up? So then my only thing is that, Selena, if you want something, you have to leave something. You cannot catch something with your hands full. So if you want to get something new, then you have to just keep the thing that is in your hand on the side and then grab the new thing. So this has been my philosophy all along my life. And whenever I see something that interests me and that I feel there's more growth in that compared to what I'm doing right now, it's fairly easy for me to make a switch or a jump. It can be different for different people, but for me it has been fairly easy to take decisions. My family has been a huge source of support in this. They always support my decisions and whatever I do, and it has been going on good so far. So that's it.
Okay, how, if a doctor wants to go and work in Dubai or UAE, what would the process be?
Yeah. So to go into Dubai, first of all, you need to have a clinical experience in your own country just after completing your postgraduate exams. So you need to have like 3 or 4 years, but the regulations keep changing, and it's on the DHA website. So there are two, three systems in UAE. There's a DHA, there's a Ministry of Health. Then for Abu Dhabi, there's different exams. So there are three different licensing authorities. So depending on them, there are specific criteria. Once you fulfill those criteria, you can give an exam. Each body holds its own exam. At least that was the case in my time. Some are just multiple choice questions, while some have an interview component attached to them. Once you clear those exams, you get a license for a particular amount of time. Usually, it is for 1 year, and then you can extend it because getting license is one part of the process, and then searching and getting a job is a second part. So once you get a license, you are eligible, but then you have to get a job to really go to Dubai. How you search for a job is again like there are some different portals where you can apply with your license and your resume. You can use your personal connects, and third thing is then wow, I got it. I got it from LinkedIn. So once you get a job, then the entire licensing and the further processing is done by the employer that employs you, which in my case was King's College, Dubai. And then once you get your permanent license, which is like obtained from the eligibility letter, they will call you, and then you go to Dubai and join your job. And I think this is the simplest way how you can land up in Dubai.
How long did that process take you from India all the way to Dubai and working there?
So my experience was already complete, Selena, because I was already working post my postgraduate. So I didn't have to wait for that. I just applied online. The process is very simple, and I think it took a few months to get my eligibility letter because there was an exam in between which I had to give. Uh, After getting that, I started searching for job, which took another 4 to 6 months because you have to start from scratch. You have to start building your network. You have to start talking to people who are already working in Dubai, whether there's a vacancy in their hospital or not. I felt that the people like the head of departments who are there in the medical establishments in Dubai and UAE, I think they have a huge say in getting you a job because if they tell I want this person to work with me in my department, then even the human resource department is very happy to help you like get the job and get to Dubai. So 3 to 4 months for the exams and 4 to 6 months for the job. If you are lucky, you can get a job earlier as well. So I would say a few months at least.
How much did it cost for the whole application?
I don't remember the exact amount, Selena, but I think it was like within uh, in India we call it 1 lakh INR, which is like uh, zero point 0.1 million, if you would say INR.
How
Uh,
much is that in US dollar?
in US dollar, you have to divide it by uh, 80. So if you less than $1,000, I would say around 800.
How
$1,000. That was that time. It's always changing, and to maintain your eligibility, you have to again make some payments to further extend your eligibility. Suppose you don't get a job within 1 year of getting eligibility, then you don't have to give exam again. You just extend your eligibility by paying some fees. I didn't have to do that because I got my job within the first year of my eligibility, and my license got ready within 1 year.
What about the exams? What were the exams like? Were they mostly basic or how did you find it?
So they were based on the USMLE pattern. Even I prepared from the USMLE question bank. There was a lot of clinical scenarios. It was MCQ. I had to travel to another city, and it was all computer based exam. You get the result like within a few days, and it's either a yes or a no. There was no particular criteria for number of questions or number of marks. There was no negative marking, I guess, as far as I remember. It's just to ensure your eligibility and get your pass. So it's fairly easy, I would say, if you are prepared, if you have read your subject well, I don't think there's any reason you cannot you can.
Okay, so now that you've transitioned from India's healthcare environment to Dubai, what were the challenges you faced and what were the differences you saw?
So, first the challenges. Whenever you are going to any new place, leaving your country and family behind, it's always a challenge to get set in the new environment, get used to things. Uh, a lot of things were different there. Like first thing which I noticed right after getting out of the airport was fast moving cars, and getting used to seeing them and used to seeing the buildings, high rise buildings. In India, we are used to seeing like this in front, but in Dubai, I was seeing like this for the initial few days. So that was a huge change. I had a few relatives there, so it was a help. They take me up from the airport, and I was at their place for some time. The staff at my employer's place was very helpful, and they and a complete onboarding process where everything is completed, right from opening your bank account to completing your formalities to getting your visa converted into work visa and everything. It was all done by them. So all those challenges part was reduced because I was going through a credible employer who was ready to help me in that process. Uh, the second challenge was, of course, I think there are a lot of options for food are available, but then I was missing home food for the initial few months, and then my wife came, and then she started preparing Indian food for me. So that was, of course, there are many Indian restaurants, and they are very good restaurants, but then you can't eat every day in a restaurant. So initial few days, I was going to the supermarket, picking up something which I can cook easily, and then eat. Like it was a fast food sort of thing. So these are common challenge. There's no big challenge. It's always easier because everything is systematic. Everything is set. The processes are very streamlined. You don't have to go to multiple offices, and there's a single point of contact which does everything. Second thing is the change which I felt was the working environment. They were fixed working hours. No one calls you even after you leave the hospital. If your shift gets over at 6 o'clock and you are home by 6:30, uh, till the time you enter the hospital next day, no one is going to even disturb you. I think that was the biggest difference because it's because of maybe because of culture as well. Because in India we are used to just picking phone and that asking if there's any question which we have even after the person has gone home from the shift. It is good sometimes, but then it is sometimes problematic also.
It happens here as well in Malaysia. Going back doesn't mean that you're done. You still get calls from your superiors.
Yes, so that was not there. Even the superiors, they never used to call. Even when I was in the Ministry of Health, that was the best thing which was there. Second thing is everything is very hygienic, systematic. Even the queues in the OPDs in the hospitals, they're very proper. I think mostly because I think the population is not so much like in our part of the world. Uh, and even the literacy level was very high among the residents and the people living in Dubai. So all these things contributed to a more sophisticated healthcare system. There were electronic medical records, which I was exposed to the first time because in India I was always used to writing pen and paper, but I had to leave that practice there. So I think all these things were the differences, immediate differences which you feel once you go.
What about cultural differences? Did you feel it was difficult to adapt?
Not at all, Selina. People have a lot of misconception, but I think the people in Dubai and in Middle East, especially, first of all, it's a multicultural, multinational environment where people from all the countries, all places around the world are there, and they are living and working together, and it's a very cordial environment, and people are very helpful to each other. Even you have, like, if you're from India, then you have Indian people all around you to help you from any country. And second thing is even the local residents and people from Dubai, they are so welcoming, they are so helpful. Like you don't feel like you're outside your own country. I only felt like it's a very developed city than India for the time that I lived there. So that was my experience and feeling. And I still
Okay, so
miss Dubai, and if given a chance, I would definitely go back and spend my time there. So I was really totally comfortable.
Okay, so from there, you moved to MedTech and AI. How did that move happen?
So that's a long story. So I went in 2019 to Dubai, as I told you, and in 2020 we had something called as COVID, and that just changed our lives forever. I would say. From working in anesthesia and pain, I was totally shifted to ICU because that was the need of the hour, and we needed more hands. Even orthopedicians, even the surgeons were doing shifts in ICU. So that was the scene. We had a lot of patients coming in. The one thing which happened is, as I told you, no one used to disturb. Even in those times, no one used to call you after your duty hours. So that time was totally for you. And in that time, I found that I have a lot of time where I can now study. I can do some self learning. We had nowhere to go outside. Uh, for a few months, there was lockdown as well. So I took to some online platforms and I started exploring my interest, and I realized that I was enjoying knowing a lot about things like artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, or these terms and all these things used to excite me a lot. So I thought, okay, let me do a few courses. So I did the course AI for Everyone from Coursera, which is by Andrew Ng, and that is where the journey started. And then I got in touch with the few people from US who are working in AI in medicine, all through LinkedIn. And fortunately, one of those people was traveling to Dubai for a talk. This was just before pre-COVID time, like when the talks were happening that COVID is turning into a pandemic, but still we hadn't recognized that it is a pandemic. That time I met my mentor in Dubai. He had come for a talk. He's Dr. Piyush Mathur. He's from Cleveland Clinic. And he just talking to him for half an hour, 1 hour, having a coffee with him. I just decided I want to explore this field further. I just want to go into this because it just changed my mindset completely talking to him for half an hour. After coming back, I started exploring more. I took some more courses and I tried to learn more, did some hands on things. And that is how my journey started and developed. Um Once this COVID thing finished, I had accumulated sort of a bank of knowledge and a lot of certifications, and I had read a lot about AI. This is what I realized, and people started coming to me asking to me, "How can we learn about AI? How can we learn about machine learning?" Uh, some startups started to reach out to me. Okay, Dr. Avneesh, we see your certifications on LinkedIn, so we are developing a startup and we are making a product. So we want your advice. So all these things started happening, and a point came when all these things were so much that I had to take a decision again. As I told you, when your hands are full, you cannot grab something new. So I had to see what is in my hands. I had to keep it on the side and then grab the new thing, and that is how the transition happened.
So, what do you do exactly now?
So the main work, what I do is in AI education. This is, I feel, is the cornerstone. If we want to adopt AI into any field, including healthcare, I think the end users or stakeholders need to be educated about AI, at least up to a particular level. And then again, there are some people who will definitely want to be developers and product builders. I think they need to go really deep into this field of AI, and to really mix it with the knowledge which they have gained from medicine to build out really good products which can really change the face of healthcare and to really solve some real problems. So that is what motivates me, because a lot of thing what is right now being built in AI for healthcare is usually either more of hype, or it's like making for problems which are not even existent, because a lot of input is not coming from the medical community. And I feel that unless the medical community is educated enough to give inputs, those inputs won't come, no matter how much you push as an engineer or a product developer to get that. So my main uh, focus is to build the soil, to prepare the soil so that the seeds can be planted and we can grow trees and get fruits in future. Second area where I'm working is consulting, because a lot of now I can see a lot of medical professionals even doing startups and coming into this medical technology entrepreneurship space, and they need some mentoring and advising, and I work with them also, advising them, although that's a smaller part of my job. Main main job right now for me is more of AI education. We are doing a lot of community work as well, and doing some courses, workshops, and I'm doing my own newsletter. All these things take up a lot of time, and I'm finding 24 hours even less food.
Before we continue, I want to share something very special for our doctors who are listening. If you're a doctor and considering a career shift but don't know where to start, Disruptive Doctors offers a non clinical Pathfinder workshop. This workshop is designed to help doctors like you explore new opportunities beyond clinical practice and how to choose the right path for you. Whether you're still unsure of whether you should leave medicine or ready to make a change, this workshop is tailored for you. So do check out our annual Disruptive Doctors Conference that happens every August where like-minded doctors like you come together, share ideas, and impact healthcare differently. You mentioned that these startups are building AI and tech for healthcare, but they're not really addressing the real problem. It was just hype. Can you give some example of things that they're building for a supposed problem that doesn't exist?
So there's no one specific example. There are so many things that are being built. I talk to entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and many of them are non-medical founders, and they feel that this is a very big problem which they are solving because a lot of tech is involved behind it. There's a lot of data collection, a lot of machine learning, and all those things are happening, and they feel that okay, we have built something which has taken so much effort, and now why it is not getting adopted. I'll give a simple example. One of the founders fixed a call with me one day, and when I saw his product, the product was about helping dermatologists diagnose skin diseases. So, you and me, both being medical professionals, we know, Selina, dermatology is a visual branch. And this is what the doctors are trained to do all their like 3 years of medical training in India, which they do. They keep seeing diseases, they keep making diagnosis. And if you are bringing out a tool to do that for them, I don't think it's going to help them. Maybe you can build something which can help them confirm. But then, if you are expecting a dermatologist to click a photo of a simple acne on the face and then put it into the software and then take a confirmation that it's an acne, I don't think that is going to be adopted by any dermatologist. And the question of the founder was, why is no dermatologist adopting this solution? So these like there are many examples. Some even don't come to my mind right now. But then if I sit, I can maybe write a book on it. So if a dermatologist was building that solution along with that person, I think the product's face would have been entirely different. So that is the point which I want to make. That we need more entrepreneurship from the medical professionals, of course, after getting educated in AI and all what we are reading right now is mostly media headlines, which are full of hype and fear. You will be replaced, you will be done this, and the entire healthcare will be taken up by AI doctor. I don't think these things are going to help. We need some real education for medical professionals so that they can come out and their entire potential can be put to use to improve healthcare. So that is what motivates me every day.
You know, when you were talking about that app to help dermatologists to confirm their diagnosis, I just remember I saw an article, a startup created this device where you can monitor your urine every day, but there is no purpose of monitoring your urine every day. Not everyone needs to. So that came to mind. I was just thinking, yeah, maybe that's what you're saying, right? That without a medical input, you're just digitizing something without really knowing why you're digitizing it.
Yes, the problem is both sides, Selena. The problem with the non-medical entrepreneurs is that they don't know the exact problems or where to address. And the second thing is many medical professionals don't understand or know exactly what AI or these emerging technologies are capable of and what their limitations are. So I think it is both sides, and we need to educate both the sides to come together and then build products instead of building in silos.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this also reminded me of a time when I was in the ICU in one of the hospitals here in the public hospitals. So here we don't, not every hospitals are fully EMR, full with EMR. Some are half-half. So I went into this one hospital. I was there working there for a while. Their case notes are handwritten in the ICU. Case notes are handwritten, but you know that big 24-hour chart was digitized. So can you imagine how they had to break that one huge 24-hour chart into 24 pieces? So we had a case where a patient collapsed. It took us 10 minutes to figure out what's going on because there was no picture. It was just random plots in 24 different frames. And we can't even see all 24 frames at once. We had to piece it together and then only decide. So you and I know 10 minutes in the ICU is eternity just to diagnose someone.
Definitely. 10 minutes in ICU is difference between life and death.
That's true. So then that's why I just started. I mean, I just recall that it's not just a waste of money, but it also is causing. I mean, it's detrimental to patient safety.
And the person who built that EMR must be feeling that he has built a very good piece of technology. While in the real world, we are facing the problem. But then again, we are not able to communicate what we feel and what can be built because we also don't understand the limitations and the capabilities of these technologies. I won't say all of us, but most of the medical professionals. Some are very good and they're building some great products and you see all most of those products are easily adopted in the medical community. This has been my observation.
Okay, so for doctors who are unfamiliar with AI, with tech, with medtech, health tech, how would you explain the role that AI is starting to play in medicine today?
So first thing we need to understand, Selena, is that we are moving into a data driven world uh, in all our domains of life, not just healthcare. We are generating more data, we are curating more of it, and we will have more of it in times to come. It is only exponentially increasing, and there's a saying that from the art of intuition, the medical science is going to become more of a data science. And you need to be making decisions based on real-time data instead of the p-values from RCTs. Those eras of evidence-based medicine are going to go, and we are going to enter into an era of intelligence-based medicine because you have more and more data. And then right now we are talking, what if we use AI and it causes harm? Will we be legally liable for it? But I think the question in times to come will be, what if we don't use AI and that causes harm? And then if the legal authority asks us, why didn't you use it when it was available? So why are you not using the data when it is available in the EMRs, it is available with the healthcare system? I think these questions are going to come up more and more. And the technology that can help you do that is definitely AI and ML, because our human brains have a limit. We cannot digest millions and millions of data points and then come out with insights. We can act upon those insights as human beings, but then we need some sort of a technology to do that for us. And that is the moment, and this is the moment in history where, for the first time, we have resources to be able to do that. Especially after these LLMs coming in, and now we have more technologies being developed where they are being grounded in reality, where you can fact check those LLMs, and those hallucinations and all those initial problems are going to go away in times to come. And that is where the real power of AI and ML will be available, especially for healthcare, because healthcare we are dealing with a lot of information overload. There's a lot of research which is happening every day, and so many papers. I cannot keep up, and so no human being can keep up. Even if you work as a team of so many people, there's only a limit to what you can do. But with AI, you can ingest all that data in a small amount of time and come out with insights. And then, of course, as human beings, you can act upon those insights and make difference in patients' lives. Uh, I think AI plus human is going to be the future. And I always tell this in my presentations that AI plus human is going to trump either alone. So just keep that in your mind, and start seeing how AI can help you, how it can augment you, how you can do a particular work better with AI. Whenever you are doing something in your life, suppose you are writing an email, just try to ask yourself a question of whether I can write it better by using some AI tool. If the answer comes yes, then definitely you should try to explore that tool and try to improve your workflow using AI.
So for those that are uninitiated, for doctors who are uninitiated, there's all this buzz AI, artificial intelligence. How would you explain this for the layman?
So I would first of all say stay away from the hype and fear. Stay away from news. After a particular time, once you have grounded yourself in scientific principles, then you start reading news. So then you can have a filter. I would not use the term, but we call it a BS filter, where you can filter all the hype and fear, and you can get some real facts into your brain. Uh, to explain AI to a layman in a simple terms, if you can imagine a pyramid with four levels, at the bottom there's data. The broadest part of the pyramid at the bottom is the data, and then if you add some context to it, if you add some more information to it, it becomes sort of information from data. And then as you go up the pyramid, it transforms into knowledge based on your experience, and then wisdom based on your action. So there's a pyramid which is called DIKW pyramid: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So if you are moving up this pyramid, this is called learning, and the ability to do it is called intelligence. So if a human being is doing this, if a human being is taking data, converting it into information, then knowledge, and then wisdom, this is what we do as medical professionals in our clinics all day. We collect data points, we get information, we make it into information, convert it into knowledge using our past experiences, and then we develop wisdom so that we can help people in the future. So if is being done artificially by means, then it becomes artificial intelligence. So you need not have two different definitions for natural intelligence and artificial intelligence. For me, I think it is the same. Only it is it is being done by, whether it is being done by a living entity or by a non-living entity. This is one of the millions of definitions of AI, and I hope this will help people who are laymen to just understand that it's not something which is out of the world. We are doing it every day, and that is only what is being transposed to machines.
Earlier, you mentioned because medicine has always been evidence based, while we're moving towards intelligence based or data and intelligence based. So, can you give like an example, like because you did mention also that there are a lot of data points that no human can decipher in that moment, but you can have a machine to do it. Can you give us like a use case for that?
For example, you told that you had a chart with 24 hours data, but you could not figure out how to get insights from it for the first 10 minutes itself, and even it can take some hours. But for a tool like AI or ML, I think it will take some seconds. You just ask your question in natural language, and you get the answer in natural language. So you get answer to your questions. Uh, in the real world, I think there are a lot of I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question once? I just lost my chain of
Yes.
thought.
So no problem. So you mentioned that because medicine has always been evidence based, right? Based on
I got
research that was done, this was the best way.
yes.
But moving forward, we're going to go towards data driven and intelligence based. So what is the use case? Because you also mentioned that there could be millions of data points, which obviously humans cannot process in that particular moment. But a machine could probably process a few million data points and give you an output. So, what is the use cases?
Yes. So we both have been doctors, and many of our listeners are doctors. So we all know how we test medicines. We conduct a randomized controlled trial. We take a group of patients as group one, then we take a group of patients as group two. We give the medicine to one side. We don't give the medicine to one side, or we give a placebo, and then we compare the effect. So here, what we are doing, Selina, is we are testing it on a group of patients, and this is about creating cohorts. And this is and the medicine that we are moving towards now, or which we have the capability to move towards, is precision medicine or individualized medicine. So we know these. If we have 30 people in a cohort in a randomized controlled trial, all those 30 people are different. They have different biology, they have different characteristics, but we try to group them into one group based on some inclusion exclusion criteria, and then we design a study, and then we conduct it, and then we get the results. And that is how we practice medicine, and how we have practiced for the last significant amount of time. But now we have data available for that every individual person in that cohort out of those 30 people, and we can individualize to every person based on their particular characteristics. We need not rely only on the study results that we get from this RCT. So that is where we are now we have now the ability to move from a trial on multiple patients to a trial of one. Like every patient is a trial by themselves, and we can now go to personalized medicine. Example, we give medicine to all patients of a particular disease. It works in some patients, it doesn't work at all in some patients. And then when the patient asks that, doctor, this medicine you gave me, which is very effective for my friend, but it doesn't work on me, what answer do we have? We can just cite this randomized control trial and tell that, see, it works for so many patients and it doesn't work for you. Hard luck. But that's not how we should be practicing medicine in future. We should have answers for particular queries. Why this medicine doesn't work only for me? I think that is the moment that we are looking at, and the ability to do that is coming more and more to us in the form of data and technologies like AI and ML.
Okay, so many doctors they feel intimidated by AI. No, not just AI. I think tech on its own. Using tech for their everyday daily practice itself is so scary for them. So especially if these tools are getting more and more complex, it's going to be even more intimidating to embrace it. So why do you think there's so much apprehension from doctors regarding this?
First thing, Selena, is that we are taught in our medical school from day one that first do no harm. So I think that is always on the back of our brain as a doctor, that whatever we do, it should not create any harm. It should only enhance the outcome of the patient, and that is the first place which stops us from experimenting these tools. Also, there are no safe environments to practice. If we have to experiment these tools, then we need real patient data or practice on real patients. So I think a lot of this digital twin technology and these 3D simulations which are coming up, AR, VR, this will also remove a lot of barriers. Second thing is, it is not included in our medical curriculum. The medical curriculum is so vast and it is so full of subjects, and we are reading so much during those 5 years, and still we feel after coming out of medical school that still we haven't learned enough. And that is another inhibition, that we feel that where to fit in tech into this. We don't have any space. So that is another place which is stopping us. And third thing I feel is the mental block. I think we, in this era, in 2024, I think there's no person on this planet, at least, who is not uh, dealing with tech. You all have technology in your pocket, even as a doctor, even as a patient. We all carry it every day. We are using Google Maps. Most of us are using Chat GPT, LLMs. So now saying that I am not able to use tech, or I don't have access to tech, or how should I use tech? I think those questions now are going to be more difficult to ask, because you already have all those things in your hand, and you just need to remove that mental block that you can't do tech. See, I also had a mental block that I'm not good in maths, and that is why I took biology in my 10th standard. But then when I go back and I look at my 10th standard mark sheet, the maximum marks that I got was in mathematics, not in biology. And second thing is, in my 11th standard, just after that, I had computers with biology as an optional subject. It's very rare to find someone having computers as a subject with biology. Mostly people take physical education or something else. But then now, when I see in retrospect, I realize that I always had interest in computers all along. So there are many doctors like me who have this thing, who are very much interested in computers and all this technology. But because of going into biology, because of going into medicine, they feel that now we have to deal only with technology, and we need to have a mindset of only medical science. But that is where I say that there are many fields which are overlapping. And there's a new field which is called computational biology. Uh, this was not there when I was studying. And maybe if I was exposed to that field that time, maybe I would have gone into that instead of becoming a doctor. Anything can happen. Just open your brain, just expand your horizon, open your possibilities. I know it's difficult. Working with patients, keeping up to date in your own specialty is also difficult nowadays. But then use AI tools to even keep updated in your specialty, and use the time that you save to explore your interests and to see whether you are really tech savvy or not. So that can only come by experimentation.
Okay, so I also have a follow up question to that because See, if a doctor takes out his phone and Googles when he's treating a patient and he Googles something because he doesn't know, it would appear to a patient that, oh, this doctor is not good because he needs to use Google. How can we overcome that?
That is the stigma, Selina, I think, which we only have created. Uh, I know it's a controversial statement, but then I have many friends and colleagues who make fun of a patient when the patient is seeing something on Google and then asking a doctor. So we tell them that, see, Google is not the correct way to do about things. But then we don't tell them why it is not and what they should do instead. Because sometimes we don't have time. It's natural. We are packed up in our schedule. We don't have time to talk to them about all this. Um, and sometimes we don't know ourselves as well. And then when we do the same thing next time in front of the patient, why will the patient not point out that, doctor, you tell me that Google is not good to look for answers, but then you are searching for Google in front of me? I think the solution to this is to develop more awareness and education from both sides. We need to educate the patients, we need to educate the doctors, and the best medium to educate the patients is also doctors. Because when a doctor tells me something, I can trust it more. So when my doctor tells me that use this healthcare focused LLM instead of using Google, and then come up with answers, and then we'll discuss it, and even I will work with you. We'll go on the LLM together and we'll search for answers to sort your problem. What should be the main focus? The main focus should be to treat the patient and to relieve the patient. Whatever the means, be it Chat GPT, be it Google, be it anything, of course, with human supervision, human doctor supervision. But then we have to take the initiative, Selina. I think in this, it will take time. The stigma is deep rooted. Over the last few decades, it has been done. But now with AI, we have an opportunity to change that.
Because back then, the doctor is the one that knows everything. He's the one that has all the answer. And now you're saying that he may not have all the answers, but Gen AI may have all the answers. Artificial intelligence may have all the answers. How do we navigate this? Because then why would a patient require a doctor now if artificial intelligence has all the answers for the patient?
So, as I told you, Selena, artificial intelligence is only going to give you information and knowledge. But at the wisdom level, you need to have some past experiences. Uh, AI cannot develop that experience of treating patients and how the patient felt, and having that empathy, having that sympathy, having the ability to talk to the patient in their moment of distress, and to hold their hand, and to give them support. I think all these things are not going to come from AI in at least few decades to come. Of course, it is very difficult to predict anything nowadays. But to the doctors who have this question, I say work more on your human skills. Know that you are going to be the person who is going to guide the patient. The patient is always going to come to you looking for answers first. If you are able to provide that answer in a collaborative way, accept that you don't have all the answers, but also show the intent that you have the intention to help them find all the answers, whatever be the means, working with them together. Because the patients are now more empowered with these tools, they have knowledge at their hand. They need not come to you. So now it becomes sort of more responsibility, falls more on our shoulders, that we have to reach out to our patients, and we have to listen to them. We have to help them understand. Only just dismissing tools just like Google, we cannot dismiss Chat GPT. There have been some very solid use cases where people have been suffering with disease for 10 years, and then they found the answer from Chat GPT, and then their doctor even accepted that, okay, that was the correct diagnosis. There was a story of a mother whose child was suffering from like few years, and then she was worried what to do. She consulted so many doctors, and then finally the answer came from Chat GPT, and the child got relieved. So more and more of such use cases are going to accumulate, and this is both a challenge as well as an opportunity for medical professionals to get trained in this technology. Be the front runners, be the leaders, take leadership role, and even help yourself and even help your patients.
Okay, so if a doctor wants to get started, like what is step one to getting started into this?
After step 0, which is to remove your mental blocks and to not feel that you cannot do it, the second step would be to maybe take a basic course. Now there are a lot of courses available out there, which is a short course. Try to look for a course which is more healthcare focused because you can relate to it. Don't go for many coding tools, coding courses right away because that will overwhelm you. Because you might decide in the end that okay, I just want to be an informed end user of this technology. I don't want to develop it. I don't want to teach about it. I don't want to do too much. I just want to be an informed end user. I should be able to evaluate the tools. I should be able to validate the tools. So for that, some basic courses are enough. Once you have that foundation, I would say that that is not enough because this field is dynamic. It's changing too fast. So you can be part of some communities. Uh, why I say community is because community is a collection of minds. It's like a mastermind where many people with same interest, they are learning about the same thing and they are translating it for each other. And you can even ask your questions in real time. That is the best advantage of community, and it gives you lifelong learning. I think minimum this thing is to be done. Don't wait for your medical curriculum to include a course. Don't wait for your hospital system to teach you something about AI. Go out, do it yourself. Start, take the first step. For those who want to delve further, I think there are a lot of datathons and hackathons which are happening all over the world. Many of them are online also. So next step is you can go to those and see whether uh, it fits your thoughts. And then if you want to develop further, then go for coding and even no code tools are coming up now where you can do the same thing which you can do with coding. You can do it in tools. Just you need to data and as medical professionals, we all have so much of data. Even if you are a freelance medical practitioner, of course, with all those consent things sorted in place. There are a lot of guidelines which are gray areas are there. I would say take your own decision on that. Uh, we all are mature people. We know what we should do, what we should not do. Uh, but beyond that, just try to use whatever data you have, anonymized data that you have in your clinic. Just try to use it on drag and drop no code tools. Try to get some insights. Try to get your hands dirty whenever you have free time. I think that is how you can do. That is the only way that is unless we have something like Matrix, where you can fit a cord into your brain and then feed all the knowledge about AI into every doctor. Right? I don't see that happening very soon. So I think this is the way to.
So, what are the biggest misconceptions that you've encountered about AI in healthcare, AI in medicine, or doctors' conception about AI in medicine?
The first thing that I face is that will it replace me? So I think instead of focusing on this question, I think we can say that how can it help me? I think that is the correct way how we should think about it. But I don't blame anyone who is asking this question because we are so much bombarded by information overload and we see a lot of news headlines and all those things. And we are all human beings. We have human emotions. Fear is one of those, and fear of replacement is of course there because we have been training for medicine not just for money or for a career, but for many people it's a purpose of living. So that is where that question stems from. But then I would say that instead of focusing on that, okay, let it be in the back of your mind, but then the front of your mind should think how it can help me and how it can help me be better. That is how you can address it. Second thing which I have faced is that some medical professionals, especially senior ones who have been doing things a particular way for a long amount of time, they feel that, okay, this has served us well so far. Why do we need to change? Why do we need something new? Especially when there is not so much evidence as of now that it is really helping. We are still in the evidence collection stage. So then again, I have answer for those people that if you don't use it, how will you generate evidence? If you just simply keep pushing back and just focusing on the old ways of doing things, they have brought us so far. Like, but there's a saying that what got you here won't get you there. So we need to just think about that. We need to think about future generations as well. We need to think about the global challenges which we are facing and how things are going to shape up in future. We are going to have more and more such diseases where we will need help of tools, advanced tools like AI and ML. So if we don't develop those now, then we will regret later. These are the two biggest challenges. And third thing, which I of course mentioned, that it is very difficult to include it in medical curriculum. What I said is, you can't hold something with your hands full. You have to put your hands empty. The way to do it is use AI in your routine tasks so that you can get some free time and then use it for your learning. I think that is the answer as of now.
When as you were mentioning about more senior doctors and how they think, and I thought back about my medical school journey, and as I was going through training, becoming a doctor, as I was working as a doctor and working with consultants, what I enjoyed about medicine is when you actually finally really understand it and it becomes an art. I'm not sure if you've encountered seniors or consultants or your professors who are always saying medicine is an art. How you treat a patient is an art. It's all in your fingertips. It's like by touch, by smell, by sight, by feel, everything. There's so much component to it. And now you're saying that AI could possibly do all this for us. So how is that? I guess, how do you navigate those change in perspective, change in mindset?
So when they say that medicine is an art, it's not wrong. First of all, Selena, because medicine, of course, an art, but then there's something called as digital art. Then nowadays there's a field which is coming up where the artists are using digital technologies to even build better masterpieces. Of course, there's a place for the traditional art, but then the digital art is also picking up, and good artists who are very much interested in keeping their artists alive, they are embracing digital technologies. I know a lot of them who are doing it. And when I mention senior doctors, I'm not saying that all senior doctors. Most of the senior doctors are very supportive, and they are really even themselves willing and eager to learn. Many of our workshops from our community, which is called Doctors AI, many of the doctors who are attending it are practicing clinicians, and many of them are senior doctors. But then there are very few. Like there's a specific cohort which is always pushing back, always telling no, that the old way of doing things is only good. Uh, I think in their own self they are right in their own minds, but then if you look at the larger picture, if you see the future of the next generations, what they are going to deal with, they will not only have to be artists, they will have to be digital artists. They will have to know how to use the data that is in the EMRs, which we are collecting in. As even as senior doctors, we are putting data into the EMRs. That data is going to be used by those next generations to come, and only if they have the tools and the means to do so will they be able. So it's our responsibility right now to just, of course, not let the art of medicine diminish, but then let it to evolve in a new way. There's something called as like transformation. So what is transformation? It's not, you don't remove the old things, but you just evolve them into a new way of doing things. You keep the diagnosis, you keep the physical examination, you keep the patient history taking intact. But then how you do it, that changes with time. I think that debate came up when there were stethoscopes as well. Why do you need to listen to the chest when you can just talk to the patient, and if the patient is coughing, then it means there's some problem. But then some people started using stethoscope, and then they realized that there's so many applications of it, and now we have even digital stethoscopes which are even AI enabled, where which can give you even a ECG reading while you are listening to the heart. This is the way how we develop things. We don't remove the art of physical examination, but we transform it and evolve it so that it becomes contemporary.
Okay, so what about the risk of over reliance on AI and you might overtake your own clinical judgment? What about those?
Definitely, that is a challenge, Selena, with any technology. For example, before surgeons were using open surgeries, and then they used to put big incisions and feel all the organs, and then with their hands, and then decide. They had a tactile sensation, tactile feedback. But now we are moving towards laparoscopic surgeries, robotic surgeries, where you don't get the actual feeling of the organ. You are controlling a robot which is putting the arms inside the patient, but then you don't get to feel it. Uh, that sort of skill erosion, I would say that risk is always there. And that is where I think we should look at other industries, how they're doing it. For example, the aviation industry. A pilot is making the takeoff and then putting it on autopilot. But then, if the autopilot doesn't function, we know that the pilot has the ability and has the training to do it without the autopilot. And that is why we sit so confidently inside any aeroplane that we travel in today. I think that's sort of a similar sort of a mindset where you use a combination of simulation, AI, non-AI scenarios, all those things. When you train a person on comprehensively on those two things together, and not either alone. If you train them entirely on AI and all those stuff and only robotics, then they will never know if when to open a patient. For example, sometimes a robotic surgery doesn't go as planned. So maybe the surgeon has to remove the robot and go with a traditional surgery. So that surgeon has that ability. And they always take a consent from the patient that we might have to open you up if the robotic surgery is, there's some problem in robotic surgery. So similar sort of a mindset needs to be developed across specialities. We should be knowing how to do the things with and without support. And when there is support available, we should definitely use it. A pilot never flies a plane when the autopilot can do the job. That, that is how it works. But then they train on simulator for many hours without autopilot also.
So, if in that context, like how can we apply that in medicine? Because I know now everything is still in its very nascent stage. So, how much can we rely on AI to say make a diagnosis and make a call? And how will this hold up? If you listen to AI and it goes south, it doesn't go as planned. Whose fault would that be at this stage?
This is a ethical gray area, Selina. Right now, there are a lot of guidelines which are coming up, but still, because the AI product development life cycle is scattered across so many stakeholders, so it is very difficult to name a particular stakeholder that you are responsible for this act. I think it will evolve as we develop more and more tools, and it will be more of a collaborative approach. I think, uh, uh, especially when it is more clear that which part of the AI product lifecycle is responsible for this particular error which happened. Uh, in airline crashes, also they have a complete investigation where when things go bad, and then they figure out what went wrong, and depending on that, they decided, okay, this person was responsible for this mishap. It's not the pilot always. For any plane crash, similar things will happen in medicine. For the time being, I would say for the doctors, just use a simple guideline that if AI is telling you to follow a gold standard, which is gold standard for that thing that you're asking the question for, and if the AI is telling you to do it, then think twice before reject. It's something like null hypothesis. So because if something goes wrong and the AI was suggesting you gold standard and you decided to not follow it, then a liability falls more on you. But if the AI is suggesting you something which is non-standard of care, and you still don't follow it and some harm happens, then your liability is little less because the AI was suggesting some non-standard of care, and you, based on your clinical judgment, follow standard of care, which will save you more. Second thing is that you should I lost it. So I think for the time being you should try to just stick to this golden rule that okay, what does the AI suggest to me? Is it a gold standard of care or not? And deciding on that, make your decision. Okay, I remembered it. Second thing is, don't entirely depend on AI. Always ask AI for options. So how I use ChatGPT is I never ask for a single suggestion. I ask it, give me three options, give me four options. So similarly, I want to see more and more tools coming up in medicine which give a differential diagnosis and not a single diagnosis that okay, that will create some automation bias, and more doctors, especially those who are not trained in AI or who don't have any knowledge about the capabilities or the limitations of this technology, they will start accepting those suggestions without applying their judgment, and then that will create a lot of problem down the line. So to anyone who is developing a product, please develop products which give a differential diagnosis and not a fixed diagnosis. Just like that person who was developing the tool for dermatologists, just show the picture and it will give you a diagnosis. It will not get adopted, and if it gets adopted, it will create more harm than good.
Yeah, because recently I actually saw an article. I briefly saw an article. A healthcare startup, they developed a software for doctors, and they're using the base that they're using is ChatGPT, which is known for hallucination. So a doctor doesn't know, and he uses this. So who? That's why I was asking who would be liable, and how will the doctor even know? Because it was promoted and adopted, say, in his hospital.
So if I am an educated doctor in AI, I will definitely ask this question: that what is in the background, what is going on, how you are getting this answer, what data it is trained on, is the data obtained from correct sources, is it working for my geography, and did you train this on Western population and you are telling me to use it on Indian population? So when will the medical professionals start asking these questions before adopting tools? Once they are educated enough, literate enough, confident enough, knowledgeable enough that, okay, now I know this technology, I understand it, and now I can ask the questions. And that is where your liability will reduce so much, because you will be able to save yourself from a lot of these problems which will happen. Because if something happens and then the question will come up that, doctor, why you didn't evaluate this product before using it? And then you can't say that I don't have knowledge about AI, so I didn't evaluate it. I don't know how much this statement will hold value in a court of law. That why you didn't read about it, why didn't you study about it when the sources were available out there to read. So I think that's a question which will be answered in time as we see more and more such cases. But presently, I would say the best thing that can save you from all those things is education and knowledge, and getting it from the right sources and from people who have been using it and doing it from your own domain, which is healthcare.
Yeah, I think that's very that I mean, I'm just thinking back in my years when I was working, like you're working round the clock. You have no time to read anything else, especially if you're in ICU, you have sick patients all over. You have to keep abreast. Okay, this disease, I don't really understand about it. I need to study this, I need to study that. So I won't have time to read anything else. But now that I'm in this position where I actually have time to study, read up, and see how I can actually ask better questions, especially with regards to AI and tech and innovation, as compared to when I'm just too busy.
But definitely, you need to take out time for your self learning, for self development in whichever field you are working, even in medicine. And we all medical professionals are used to it. We do continuing medical education. So if you're doing continuing medical education for your entire month, maybe spend a few days on AI or ML, maybe join a few CMEs or courses. Now they have even CME credits for so many programs. So try to look for a program which is happening in your organization or in your community or locality, which is helping you develop continuing medical education in this field. And don't wait. I would say don't wait for your organization or your employer to help you, because even they are not sure. They are confused. Many of them are not used to such dynamic changes which are happening right now around us. They are used to slow pace of things, slow change. But this thing is coming up so fast. Our patients are using AI, even if we don't. They're not waiting for us. Just keep this in your mind, and then everything will fall in place and you will find time to do it. Another way to do it, if you are very busy, I think reverse mentoring and this concept of mentoring is very useful. Because if you can't read it, someone can read it and then help you understand it in a fast, better way. And sometimes it can be a student as well. And I've realized that these medical students, they're very tech savvy, maybe because they are from the next generation and they are more used to these digital tools and technologies. They grasp it faster than us. So I think there should be no shame or there should be no inhibition in us as seniors to learn from even our juniors in this particular technology. They might not be able to teach you surgery, but they might be able to teach you how to use AI to enhance the process. So I think keeping an open mind and finding out whatever team you can, using that to upskill yourself in this very important technology is very useful for medical professionals in times to.
Before we continue, I want to share something very special for our doctors who are listening. If you're a doctor and considering a career shift but don't know where to start, Disruptive Doctors offers a non clinical Pathfinder workshop. This workshop is designed to help doctors like you explore new opportunities beyond clinical practice and how to choose the right path for you. Whether you're still unsure of whether you should leave medicine or ready to make a change, this workshop is tailored for you. Also, do check out our annual Disruptive Doctors Conference that happens every August, where like minded doctors like you come together, share ideas, and impact healthcare differently. Okay, so other than the ethical concerns that we raised earlier, like who's responsible for a decision, whether the AI or the doctor, like what other ethical concerns are there with regards to AI in medicine?
The biggest ethical concern, Selina, is about data, because right now, but the biggest question is, who owns the medical data? Is it the patient? Is it the hospital? Is it the doctor? Uh, that question needs to be answered. The Indian government is taking a very big step in this. They are developing something called the Reshman Bharat Digital Mission, and the entire healthcare records are going to be digitized for the entire population of India, which you can imagine is such a huge amount of data set, and they are building those checks into the place, so that there are proper guardrails as to who owns the data. And for every data access, you need consent of the patient. So the patient is in the loop and they know what is happening from their data, because definitely down the line, all this data will be used for training AI/ML tools, and all those stuff. Uh, so I think first step is to determine data ownership, so that it will improve data access and not keep it in silos, because either the healthcare data is not available, or it is available but it is not accessible. So these two problems need to be solved. Uh, the ethical issue of data privacy, data security comes with this, and of course we need to build those checks in place, because once we develop AI, we should be very mindful that these tools are also accessible to bad actors all around the world. The scamming and the hacking and all those things, they have reached a new level after hackers have got access to these tools. So we need to build those red teaming concepts. There's a concept called red teaming in banking. They use it. They have a team of hackers inside the organization who try to hack the system and to expose the vulnerabilities before the real hackers do. So I think all those things have to come up in healthcare as well. Second challenge is that second ethical issue is that with whom lies the power. Uh, like many of these tools, as you mentioned, chat gpt going on in the background, it's a private owned llm technology, uh, which was not for profit but now gradually turning for profit. And there are many open source tools as well, so which which have their own vulnerabilities and problems, pros and so we need to decide that who has the power, because if you have a single person who is processing all the medical data in the world from their LLM and they have access to it, I think that's a very huge uh, problem that we are looking at regarding power and control. So this power and control needs to be decentralized, where again some tools like blockchain can provide answer, where the entire thing is spread out and it is verifiable by different sources, and there are proper cryptographic checks in place. Uh, so I think these ethical challenges have to be sorted out, mainly data privacy, data access, data privacy, cybersecurity, and this what I mentioned, power and control. I think these are the biggest issues, and of course bias along with data. I forgot bias that comes. I mentioned that whenever you're using a particular AI tool for a population, we have to make sure that it is trained on the data of that similar population. Otherwise, what will happen is it will have the biases that are incorporated from different population and can be applied in the decisions which are made down the line. And sometimes the decisions which you make in healthcare are about life and death, as you mentioned in the ICU. So I don't want any AI tool to bias my decision at that point of time in a wrong way, just because the data was biased, which was used for training that AI algorithm. So if we are able to address these ethical challenges along the way as we develop AI for healthcare, I think we'll be doing a good job.
Okay, for an individual doctor, why is data privacy important?
Data privacy is important because we as medical professionals have responsibility to ensure confidentiality and to maintain trust of our patient. That is the foremost thing. So that is why you should have proper systems, proper softwares in place to do that. If you are even practicing as a freelance clinician, uh, don't take data privacy lightly. Second thing is because there are regulations now, and more regulations are coming up. Even in India, there is something called the DPDP Act, which is the Data Privacy, Digital Protection Data Privacy Act, which is going to have very huge penalties if you are not able to maintain data privacy from your side. And it also has a special clause for medical data. So I think both the things, both from the ethical point of view and from legal point of view, we need to maintain data privacy as medical professionals.
Okay, so sounds like you can get into trouble if you're not aware of data privacy as a practicing doctor.
Yes, so data privacy, I won't say that you need to read the entire law or the act. You can maybe use maybe take a summary of it and then keep in your mind. But when you're using some tools, of course you will buy some software or you will use some EMR tool. So you have to ask those people that whether it is DPDP compliant, whether there is something in the West which is called HIP. So you need to ensure that the tools that you're using is HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant. So once you have those things in place, even if something goes wrong on the side of the platform, at least you are saved because you tried to confirm it and have a documentation of it. And if something gets leaked from the platform, which can of course be even if you are compliant to the highest level, the we have learned that any system in the world is hackable. So your liability at least gets reduced. So I think that is the check that you can do, and always be very open with your patient. Take all the consents. Take whenever you're using data for research and all. Explain to them, explain the use of it and how it will benefit them and other patients down the line. Once you understand the technology, you will be able to do it in a better way. And if the patient decides not to participate, then also you should be very welcoming and acceptable, and you should not include that data in any of your studies with good faith.
Okay, so given how fast technology is advancing now, so what are the trends and innovation in MedTech that you think doctors should keep an eye on?
So I think right now everything is being shadowed by AI and by ML. So anything that is coming up right now is most of the developments are happening in this field. So first thing you should learn about is AI ML. Second thing, a lot of work is happening around simulation, uh, like augmented reality, virtual reality, all those things. So you need to keep up with that as well, and try to figure out how it can help you in your field. I know some surgeons who are using Apple Vision and all those technologies to augment their surgical workflows. That is another thing. Third thing, which you should understand and learn about, is blockchain. You should not learn how to do it, how to code it, but then you should know how to apply it because it's a wonderful technology. It has been maligned because of the crypto and all those scams happening. But then you need to understand that that is just an application of that technology. The original technology that is behind that is really beautiful and wonderful and democratizing, and it's really very much useful for our future electronic medical records, whichever we design, so that they are decentralized and secure. So in a way, just try to know what are the emerging technologies. Just try to, if you go to Google and type simple emerging technologies in healthcare, you will get a list of 5 or 10 technologies, and then you choose which are the ones which affect your field or which you are most interested in, and then try to learn bit by bit about those. And you are welcome to get in touch with me as well. I can help you recognize. I can help you find the sources which can suit to your time constraints, and then you can learn about it. Means not learning just because you don't have time. I think this excuse is going to be very weak in coming times.
Yeah, I think that is what you just said. Like not having the time to learn will just keep you stagnant and you'll be because when the moment I came out of clinical practice and I finally started having time reading, I realized I was 10 years behind all my peers because I didn't have the time to keep up, study, read.
And remember, your patients are coming from those same peers, so they are 10 years ahead of you.
Yes.
So you have to keep pace with your patients, if not anyone else.
That's a very good advice because I don't think that's where because I think up until when ChatGPT came, previously we still had that like that gap between the patient, how much more forward we are compared to our patients. But now ChatGPT, Gen AI, it has just liberated information and it's free for all and everyone just needs to get abreast.
And it's getting better by the day. It's learning, it's getting trained. It's not Google. It's far ahead of that technology. It adapts, it learns, and it even grounds itself in truth. In reality, now they have something called Chat GPT search feature, which gives sources from the internet from where it has taken information, so you can cross check. So I think these things are going to only evolve with time, and we as medical professionals also need to evolve. We need to come out of this thinking that okay, this is going to be another Google. It's not. It's going to pass away, and we are going to keep doing the things as we are. Of course, we are going to keep doing the things as we are, but then we need to augment ourselves with this technology and keep pace with our patients and to maintain their trust in us. I think this is very important for us to get abreast with these technologies and to talk to the patients in the language that they are talking and they understand. That is key to being a successful medical professional as well.
Okay, so if fast forward 10 years, what role do you envision AI, MedTech will play in the daily life of a doctor?
So I think we are just seeing the baby steps of medical technology and the AI technology that we are seeing right now. This is the worst it will be ever. And 10 years from now is a huge timeline. And I think there's someone, I think Bill Gates said that we as human beings tend to underestimate the changes that will happen in 10 years and overestimate the changes that will happen in the next few years. So that is how our mind is. It thinks in a linear fashion, but the changes which are happening are in exponential curve, and the base part of that exponential curve is now over, and now I think we are going to the exponential phase. So now it is going to be 10 times faster, like a logarithmic scale. So everything is going to be faster on a scale of 10 in the next 10 years. Hard to imagine, but I feel that we will be having more and more of ambient AI technologies where we won't have to call them, or we won't have to go to those agents and AI agents and use them, or open a chat GPT and then type our question and then get it. I think it will all be embedded into the hospital and the entire hospital. Of course, there's another thinking that the hospital might not be just the four walls, and the hospital will come out of the four walls and go to the patient bedside in the home, and there will be more of home hospitals with more remote healthcare monitoring, again more data coming to the hospital, and the entire hospital is going to be a smart hospital. There was a concept called as digital banking in the last decade, which was different from the banking. But now whenever I go to the bank, they don't talk about banking, they talk only about digital banking. So in 10 years from now, everything is going to be digital health. It's not going to be health. uh, the entire healthcare is going to be digital health. That is how I envision it. And medical professionals are definitely going to be better at this, better at their art using all these technologies. Those who will embrace and learn about it and augment themselves will definitely be better medical professionals than they are right now. Better at diagnosing, better at giving outcomes for the patient, better in communication with the patients, more empathetic doctors, because they will have time to develop those skills and not just keep filling notes into the EMR. So I think this is going to be an entire change, shift for us, for our medical profession, and a huge role for change management to play in this next 10 years. We need more change management. We need more people who can show the way, who can lead, who can learn themselves and then teach others. And this is, I think, how we are going to move forward into the 40s, 30s and 40s, 2030s and 2040s.
Oh, actually, it sounds very exciting as you are describing it. It's like I wish it was here right now.
Yeah, I think if it was there right now, I think I would have been really practicing medicine still, and I would have been able to bring more impact. But that is how the timeline of the world goes. Like you don't you everything started from Hippocrates when he decided, okay, I just want to treat patients with any means available to me. And then down the line, we developed these tools and technologies. Then we had the various discoveries of antibiotics, of X-rays. Similarly, now with AI, we have an opportunity to transform our way of treating and dealing with patients again. And this will be a moment in history, a milestone, which we will all look back. Our future generations will look back and they will realize that, yes, this was a pivotal moment in the history of medicine.
So, how do you see yourself impacting healthcare differently with what you're doing now?
So I'm still in medicine, Selena. I don't think I'm outside of medicine. I am impacting medicine every day by helping my peers and colleagues learn about AI in the language that they understand and in a comfortable way, in a comfortable setting, along with their peers in the community. Uh, I think education is the core of any change that you want to bring in any society or any community. So I'm working on that core, and that gives me a lot of satisfaction because if I am able to enhance or augment a few medical professionals, so then that gets compounded down the line. So there's a rule of compounding, compound interest, where initial few things don't make much change, but then down the line it becomes exponential. So if I train 10 doctors in AI and those 10 doctors embrace AI and help 100 patients each in a better way, so in a way I'm impacting 100 into 10, 1000 patients by just impacting 10 lives. So that is the leverage, sort of leverage, which now I have in the work that I'm doing. Initially, I was treating one patient at a time, changing one life, sometimes not able to do it because of many reasons, because of medicine not working on that patient, or maybe I was not correct in my diagnosis, or maybe the patient lost trust and patience in me. So there were many factors, but now I think I'm able to impact in a better way, and this helps me to even learn, because I myself am a very avid learner. I like learning a lot. So sort of learning and then passing it on. So that is a very natural thing for me, and it doesn't feel like work for me anymore. So that is how I am doing it right now.
Did you feel any, I wouldn't say it's regret, but there are doctors who are in this phase, they realize they don't want to do clinical, but moving on, they still have the stigma like, if I'm not a doctor, what am I? And there's something that's holding them back. Did you have that as well?
So you are right, Selina. Many people who I talk to, my friends and colleagues, and I mentioned this in earlier part of my conversation also. They ask me that how are you able to make that shift so easily when we find it so difficult that, okay, from tomorrow I will not have to see patients. Oh my God, how will then I do medicine? But that has fortunately not happened for me till now. I don't know. That's strange, but then I have always kept that mindset that if you want to get something new or do something new, you have to empty your hands. Otherwise, you cannot catch the new thing. So that is something which is called, there's a language in MBA which is called status quo bias, where you have invested so much in something that you are very apprehensive of leaving it behind and starting something from scratch. So you feel that whatever I invested till now will get sunk. That is sunken cost effect. But for me, I feel that is an investment. It's not a cost. Whatever I trained for, whatever I learned till now, whatever medical training I got, whatever patients I saw, whatever clinical work I did, that is a sort of investment that is still shaping my journey, that is still helping me. And that was not the only way in which I can do medicine and help my patients. And this is very much clear to me. So that when that clarity comes to you, then only can you make that shift and you can realize that, okay, what aligns to my purpose? If my purpose aligns with seeing patients and doing clinical work, then I will be able to do it better. But if my thought process and mindset and from level of comfort is not with that, and still I am trying to do that just because I am trained to do it and I want to do it to be able to just keep my resume going forward, I think it will take you only so far, and you will get burnt out in that process. So the larger goal is to impact the field of medicine, do medicine, make our patients' lives better. But then there are multiple ways to do it. So you have to get that clarity. Once you open your mind, look at so many options, start thinking openly, see other examples, see people who have impacted medicine even without doing clinical work. then read more stories about them, read their biographies. You will come to know that even you can do it, and there's nothing that you have to see patients only to impact medicine. You can do greater impact. You can make greater impact by not seeing patients if that is not your purpose, or that doesn't fit into your ikigai. This like ikigai is mean your purpose of living. So if your purpose of living is teaching, then impact medicine by teaching. Don't impact it by treating patients or writing medicines. You can even educate your patients, so to say. That will also give you a lot of fulfillment.
Oh, that is a very, very powerful message actually, because a lot of us do struggle. Even myself, I took a whole year trying to figure out what exactly is it that aligns with me, and you sum it up very well in the what you just said earlier. So what would your advice be for young doctors who may be considering a non-traditional career path, maybe in medtech or AI? What's your advice for them?
First of all, I would say is that try to learn as much as possible within your field as well as outside your field. Don't leave your friends who have gone into other fields. Talk to them also. Talk to them what they're doing, what they're learning, how they're doing. Just be in touch. Don't get siloed into the medical, your own medical community. Keep your mindset open. There are a lot of opportunities available now, which are like internships. So you can apply for those. You can work with people who are working in non-traditional roles, like maybe some organization like Disruptive Doctors, where I can read the line, dare to be different. So first you dare to be different, you think different, and then you find out opportunities. And those opportunities will be self-attracted. Uh, if you are if you are on lookout for those, they will come and find you. Go to LinkedIn, uh, build a LinkedIn profile. That is the first most important thing to do. Don't think that you're a doctor and you don't need it. Even if you are doing clinical medicine, just build a simple LinkedIn profile, mention your interests, start networking with people who are aligned to your interest. And by the time you reach my age, you will be like so much clear in your thought process, because I started doing this 5 years ago in 2019. Till that time, I had nothing on my mind that I'll be doing something like this. But when I started exploring, I started opening myself to the world and not limiting myself to medicine and clinical medicine. That is when I realized that the world is so huge, and there are so many people doing so many different things, and even I can do so many things to impact medicine in a different way. And that is where it will help you. So open your minds as early as possible. I think you are in a age group, or at a stage of life where it is not flexible for you. You don't have so many responsibilities. You can make the shifts in a faster way. uh, of course, I make fast shifts, but then I have some constraints. I have a family. I have a lot of things to look to. But then you are in a very early stage. So that is your biggest advantage right now. So don't let it go waste. Explore everything possible that you can before settling down for clinical medicine. And if that is what is your calling, definitely do it. Don't think that others are going into non-traditional fields, so even I have to go into it. That's not like that. It's customized, person built for you, what you have to do in life.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Avnish. If you guys have been enjoying our conversation and considering exploring new career path, remember to check out our non-clinical pathfinder workshop at Disruptive Doctors. It's designed to help doctors like you discover and navigate opportunities within healthcare. Also, check out our annual Disruptive Doctors Healthcare Disruptors Conference this and 10th August, where like-minded doctors like you are coming together to share ideas to impact healthcare differently. Now that wraps up another episode of Postcall Beyond the White Coat. Until then, I'm Dr. Selina. Take care and keep disrupting the norm.
Join disruptive doctors. Oh, oh, disruptive doctors. Impact.